Hello and welcome back to that FPL. Today we're going to be looking at the Champions League draw, and I am joined by my good friend Jack Charles. How are you, mate?
Oh mate, it's good to be back. I'm excited to talk about this exciting draw. Obviously, we had two this week, which was amazing. I think Joe Cole was just an asset to the team, as was Michael Owen, who stated the obvious fact that both, basically every team is going to either have an easier or harder game unless they, drew the team they drew in the previous draw.
Of course, and obviously looking at the draw, we've got to bring in a special guest. Unfortunately, it is not Andre Arshavin, but is our
It's
finest Jack
Jared
Field. How
Bowen.
are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Excited to make my debut.
It's good to have you on here, and excited to get into this Champions League draw where we do have some big fixtures, and I think it's only right to start on the first one. Charles, what do you think of the Salzburg Bayern draw?
In all honesty, I'm not really too excited about this one. And this actually might be the worst game out of the lot, competitiveness wise. I'm not too up to date on Salzburg. I won't lie to you, but Bayern are such a dominant team, and I can't see them losing this one, Rod.
I think you're completely right. And Salzburg, like yourself, I don't really know too much about them, but Bayern are one of the best teams in the world. So I can imagine that over the course of both legs, Bayern it should be a whitewash. But regardless, it'd be interesting. How about yourself, Jutfield, mate? How do you see it?
I agree with Chelsea. Absolute dead game. I
Shit.
think it is.
It's
Could be
one
one
of
of
those.
those Bayern Arsenal games, I reckon. Absolute whitewash.
What should we do then? Score prediction: 5-0 on both legs to Bayern. Now I see
Yeah.
Salzburg getting a goal, at least one. I
I
think
think
this might be like 7 to an
7-1.
aggregate.
7-1, 7-2. Yeah.
I think you're not far off. I am gonna go for a more modest one of 4-1 over the course of both legs. But regardless, it's not a game that you were looking for in the draw. But regardless, Bayern are probably going to sail through to the next round. Jack Field, mate, how do you see Sporting Man City going?
Oh, again, I think
It's a
it's
shit
testament
game.
to both Bayern and City's just dominance. I can't see him even being a trouble. I can see City and Pep doing their usual thing, rotate the team, put out a completely random team of players, and then just still beat them.
I
Like they can do one up front or something and still win.
I actually think City might struggle in this game. It just seems like the sort of game they struggle in. Like obviously, the past couple seasons. Obviously, last season they got to the final and really, uh, they failed miserably. I'd say against Chelsea. They were the big favourites coming into it, and Chelsea did the business. But before that, they were going out against the French sides in the, semis and quarterfinals, and I think City might take Sporting lightly. I wouldn't be surprised if it is like 4-0 on aggregate, just 2-0 in both of the games. Petro takes the side and, tries to put everyone to sleep, Rod.
I think you're right. And if you're going to have to go over score prediction, boys, over both legs, what do you think?
I'll go to Fieldzy first. What do you think, mate?
I think away, I think it will be a close one. I reckon maybe a 2-1 City, and then at home they blow them away 3-0. So 4-1 on aggregate.
Oh, okay. I think it'll be something like 4-0,
4-1, 5-1.
5-1.
What are we doing?
I think Sporting, I've just had a look at the Portuguese table and Sporting are level with Porto on points at the top of the league. But I do think City are going to have too much to. They are going to overpower them. So over the course of both legs, I'm going to go for a 4-1, similar to my Bayern Salzburg prediction.
Yes.
I'm going to come to you, Jack Charles, now, mate. Benfica Ajax. I think this is more of an even draw, so it might be quite an interesting game.
I like this game. I think obviously Benfica at home in the first leg. I think this is actually quite key to the tie. I think with Benfica at home, I think they can make it difficult for Ajax. I think if Ajax were at home, they could walk away with this one. I think obviously they top their group this season in the Champions League. But quite impressed with them as well. Obviously, they've lost the likes of Donny van der Beek, De Ligt over the past few years, and you can see the next crop of talent coming through, the likes of Gravenberch, who I think is a phenomenal player, not just because I signed him on my FIFA career mode, Rod, but I do actually think, because it's Benfica first at home, that they could probably offer something to this tie. I could see it maybe even a Benfica win going into this, but maybe Ajax turn it over in the second leg.
That is quite interesting. So I'm going to come to you, Jack Field, mate. How do you see this one going?
I'm going to go the opposite. I think Ajax will beat them quite easily. I feel like Benfica were in what looked like at the start a tough group with Bayern and Barca, weren't they in? I think they just scraped through only because of how bad Barcelona were.
Barcelona shit in the bed.
Yeah, I think Ajax went unbeaten as well, didn't they?
They did, man. They were very impressive.
In an easy group, yeah, but I feel like they'll come into it favourites, and I think they'll give them a good game, but I think Ajax will just be a bit too strong.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
I'm going to...
Thanks, Jack.
Glad you're in the studio, right?
Similar to you boys, I think Ajax, they are going to obviously come off the back of being undefeated in the group. Sebastian Haller on hot form. So I do see Ajax.
Unreal, isn't he?
He's the amount he scores for West Ham. It's a shame he couldn't do that. And for Ajax, especially in the Champions League, he was absolutely on fire. So I am going to go for an Ajax going through. But I do feel like both the games will be quite high scoring.
What are you saying then? Are you gonna get how high scoring are we going on the aggregate result?
I'm gonna go with Ajax 3-2.
That's all. Bloody hell, Rod! I thought you were gonna go 7-5 or something.
It's like a high scoring 5-goal thriller across 2 legs.
Champions League round of 16, boys. I think that is quite high scoring for the round of 16.
I think 3-1 Ajax over both legs.
Really? I think it could be. I think Benfica are going to come away with a 2-1 win in the home game, and Ajax probably win 3-0 at home. Quick maths, that makes it 5. Wait, what is that on aggregate? My maths has failed me. 2-1 and 3-0.
4-2.
4-2. Bloody hell. Jesus Christ. You can tell I dropped out of school a bit early. Anyway, it's next game now, Rod.
That brings us to the reigning French champions against the reigning European champions. Jack Charles, mate, I'm going to come to you. What do you think?
I think this is going to be interesting. I think Los have been pretty decent. I've been impressed with Angel Gomez when he's been playing. Obviously, ex-United player. I was really gutted when he actually decided to leave the club, but I think it's understandable. He wasn't really getting too many look-ins with the first team, and to progress his career, I think he probably made the right move. I think Chelsea have... I mean, we said it before on the channel, Rod, but Chelsea have been impressive in the way that they've won games, but disappointing in the way they played. And I could see it being tighter than probably expected. I think Losk are probably going to come away with a pretty decent performance, but just not enough to get through, Rod. I think Chelsea probably beat 3-4-1 on aggregate.
I think you're not wrong there. And Jack Field, mate, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think that even though they top their group, they're the second easiest team to come against. I think even though they won the league, not the Liga, French league last season, I don't think they're doing well at all this year. And to be fair, they scraped. Well, even though they came top, it was only by 1 extra point, I think. I think that will give them a good game, but solely based on Chelsea not performing well, to be honest.
Yeah, Jack, obviously this is our first time having you on the channel. Hopefully the first of many, I must say. But I just wanted to know, because me and Rod have been talking about Chelsea quite a lot this season, and we've been kind of, just kind of disappointed in them. I think a lot was kind of promised before the season started, but I don't think they've really, proved too much, but have been impressive in the fact that they're winning whilst playing badly. What have your thoughts been on them so far?
I think that sums it up. They do somehow get results, but even when performing badly, you still got to look about like how much money they've spent recently. Like was like 80 million on Havertz and 100 million on Lukaku, and they got quite a few players coming to the end of their contract or getting quite old. Like Thiago Silva, as for the I think that if they were to do anything, their time's sort of now.
Yeah,
and the fact that they still aren't playing the best they can is a bit disappointing. But
and
I don't enjoy watching their football as much either.
Neither do I. I think Chelsea and City are like pretty. They're not that similar, but they are kind of similar. Like City are like the masters of being boring bastards, and Chelsea are a close second. But they have been in some pretty entertaining games because they have been a bit leaky at the back recently.
Chelsea playing boring football, that is a unanimous decision on this channel, and I'm going to share similar opinions as you boys. I've just looked at Lille in the French league this year, and they are currently sitting 11th, 20 points behind PSG, who are top. So you'd expect Chelsea, who got a bit jammy in drawing them twice.
Oh yeah.
You expect Chelsea to breeze through the round. Will they do so? I'm not too sure, especially with how they've been playing, injury-wise, etc. But I am going to go overall for an aggregate of 3-0 Chelsea. I think Lille are going to struggle. And that leads us on to another Premier League draw, essentially, in Atleti Man United. As a Man United fan, Chelsea, mate, how are you seeing this one going? It's better than PSG.
I don't know, actually. I know a lot of people are going, oh yeah, it's better than PSG, but
I still think it's a tough one.
I think it's maybe even tougher. I think with PSG, obviously, you got to look out for the stars, but I do think they're not the best. They don't have the best fighting spirit, I'd say that. Like, I think they've proven over the years now in the Champions League, despite these new signings, I don't really think it's changed all too much. Obviously, they're a bit more lethal now with having Messi, they've got a better goalkeeper, things like this, but I still think that you can break them, and United have proven in the past that they could get a result against PSG. But coming up against Atleti, I think it's going to be a really hard game. I think the way Simeone plays, I think the way Rangnick wants to play, it could be quite an intriguing tie. I feel like we could have a decent run in us this season, and go maybe to the semis or something like that. But I don't like this tie. I would have preferred to have someone like Sporting Lisbon. That was the fixture I really wanted. Ronaldo going back to Sporting, but I will back us to get through it. But it's like I've said last week, it was brought down to earth a bit in the Norwich game, and it's a bit hard to see where this United team is going to go under Rangnick.
And puts me on to Jack Field. Your team played them in the group stage. How did you see Atleti playing in the group stage, and how did you see Liverpool fare up against them, and what do you think United can exploit?
Atleti, they were really weird in the groups, I found. I'll be honest, I only watched one game that they played other than playing Liverpool, and that was against Milan. And they just didn't look interested. I think they came second, but I think they lost more games than they won in that group. It was an odd group, apart from Liverpool winning them all. But when it came to Liverpool tie, they played as if it was like the last game they were ever going to play, and they were trying to win everything, putting their hearts on the line just against that game. But so I can see them doing the exact same, being at the knockout stages, and I do actually think this is a harder tie than PSG.
Yeah,
I think PSG can they can be broken a bit. Once you get one, their heads sort of go down a bit.
Yeah,
they're just a lot of big names, a lot of ego. With Atletico Madrid, the complete opposite. I reckon that it'll be real tough, and I can't see United even scoring, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Oh shit! Really? Fucking hell!
Yeah.
That sounds awful. I was going to ask you a question, what did you make of Suarez when he played against you? Obviously, you're a Liverpool fan.
He had a good Ethan. Yeah, he didn't play the first leg, and I think he hardly got a touch at Anfield, and we pretty much dominated them.
Yeah.
But they stayed stubborn. So that's the thing. Like, it took us a while to score, I think, in the second leg.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, we battered them. I don't think United will score a goal. It's just typical this season, isn't it? What do you think, Rod? Man, are you as wow? I'm not exactly optimistic. I think we can do it, but I'm not sure if we will. And Jack certainly doesn't think we will.
I think I remember watching one of the Liverpool legs against Atleti, and tackles were flying. The referee, his performance was ridiculous. There were just things happening everywhere, and
Was
I can
it
see
Jonathan Moss like?
it may as well have been like that. He was given red cards for the most ridiculous of things. So I can see
They were very unlucky, against Liverpool.
Everyone
that's.
is.
But I'm gonna say that United are gonna come through this round. I do feel like they will overpower Atleti in the right departments, and Atletico, very well drilled team, very passionate with some big names such as Felix, Griezmann, and of course the keeper Oblak. But
Yes.
I do feel like United, when it matters, United tend to pull out all the stops, and we've seen that against PSG before.
I think with Atletico, it's not so much about the personnel. It's it's been pretty similar now this past decade, to be honest. The fact that they've had Simeone for the majority, I don't know if they've had him for the full decade. I can't remember, but at least since I can remember, he's been there, and they've always had such a nasty style, I'd say. They're a bunch of bastards, and I think that's what you want in your team, and they certainly are it. And like I said, it's not really about personnel because they've got it sorted out with the coaching staff and stuff like that.
And yeah, I've just had a look at some statistics, and yeah, he became Atletico manager in 2011. So yeah, a decade of being at the helm. El Cholo, they call him. But I am going to go for an aggregate score of 4-2 in favour of United, and that brings us on to another Spanish tie with Villarreal facing Juventus. Jack Field. Obviously, this is a bit of a draw that no one really predicted in terms of. I didn't realise Villarreal was still in it, to be honest. How did you see it?
Everyone fucking hates them, man.
I quite like this draw. I feel like it could be quite even. Like, from the face of it, it might not look it, but I think Juventus aren't doing great this season, and I think Villarreal aren't doing too bad. So I think it could be quite even. I think this might be the most even fixture.
Stop sitting on the fence, Jack. Give us your real opinion. This is what we're paying you for.
I think Villarreal go through.
Oh, that's meaty. That is. I fucking hate Villarreal, man. United.
I do too.
The Yellow Submarine. They fuck off, man. I think we had them in the Europa League final, and we've had them in the group stage this year, and I think they are actually quite a tricky team. When they played United, especially at Old Trafford, I was really impressed with Capoue. I thought he was showing the opposite of McTominay. At the sixth position where he comes, shows for the ball. He's always looking for a forward pass, and I was really impressed with him. And other players, they got
Dan Juma's
that's the one from Bournemouth. I was trying to think of his bloody name. Yeah. And he looks quite promising. Lacking a bit in front of goal, but other than that, man, he could be the real deal. And I also think, Jack, that Villarreal are going to go through in this leg. Juventus have been poor, which is kind of crazy thinking after the strong Euros that Italy had winning it. And, they've got a lot of the strong faithful in that lineup, Chiellini, Bonucci. And, I just don't think I think Villarreal have just got enough to beat them. So I'm going to go on aggregate, Villarreal to win 2-1.
Yeah, and if just drop in by saying it, it's a good point Jack Field made by this tie is fairly even. Juventus have had a poor start to the season, and on face value, I think this will be an even tie. So I am still going to go with a Juventus win over aggregate, and I am going to go for a 3-2 Juventus win on aggregate. And that brings us on to
Morata playing in. shouldn't be winning games.
Offside.
I love that.
That brings us on to your team, Chatfield, mate. Liverpool against Inter Milan. How do you see this one going?
I was a lot happy with the first draw, I'll be honest. I don't know too much about Inter Milan, apart from I think Liverpool have done quite well against Italian teams. I think they all play quite similar. I think Barella's injured, or suspended actually, suspended for the first leg. So I think that could be a key miss because him in the Euros, he was pretty incredible.
Man, he was incredible the other day. He had an assist where he like juggled the ball by the corner flag and just whipped it in. It was an amazing goal for Inter. Yeah, sorry, Jack, carry on.
And I think they play 3-back as well. I think Liverpool's formation do quite well against 3-backs in the past. I think Salah and Mane will just sit on the 2 wide centre-backs, and I got a feeling that the Inter Milan centre-backs are going to be quite slow and won't keep up with them. So I think Liverpool go through. I just don't think it will be as easy as Salzburg.
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment. I definitely would have wanted Salzburg as well. But I remember seeing Inter Milan against Sheriff, and they really struggled. And I think I haven't got enough for Liverpool, man. When Liverpool, like we have been this season, obviously this is post potential African Cup of Nations, Rod, and I think that could be, depending on what happens, if it happens, that could play a role. But yeah, in they got a couple of players you really need to look out for. I think Lachero, Martinez definitely one of them. Barella, like Jack said, but I think they really miss Romelu Lukaku. I think he was a big figure in their team. I think he's a bit more of a consistent goal scorer than Martinez, and yeah, I can see Liverpool battering them, to be fair. I think this could be like a 7-2 on aggregate sort of game.
They got big Denzel, haven't they? Denzel Dumfries.
That's right, yeah.
It was
Euros points magnet.
very impressive in the Euros, and it speaks volumes of the Premier League and of Liverpool this year, where we're speaking about the top of the Italian league in Inter, who are going to struggle against Liverpool. So I'm going to share a similar opinion, and I do think Liverpool will not find Inter too difficult. I think they breeze past AC Milan, and AC Milan are second, only a point behind Inter. So on aggregate, if that's a metric to go off, I'm going to go with a Liverpool 4-2. I'm going to go.
I think it's just different football over there. I think that
it's slower pace.
In Liverpool, there was nothing like they wouldn't have played any team like Liverpool in the league until they actually play them, and they can prepare for that. But it's just not the same as having the experience of playing against it. And I feel like a high pressing, high energy team will always beat like a slow possession team, but not the other way around.
I don't know. Ask Pep Guardiola about that one, Jack.
I still press though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, I think you're right, Jack. As in that Inter aren't going to face anyone this year like Liverpool, and the start of the season for Liverpool has just been. Back to business, I'd say. I think last year he had a bit of an unlucky season with the injuries, but with the players coming back now, it just seems like nothing really changed, Jack.
Yeah, it is. I think that big thing is Van Dijk coming back, and it does seem like nothing's happened to him. Like it was a big fear, like an ACL. You think like, is he going to be the same player as he was before? But I think sort of the way he plays, that calmness, I don't think he has lost any attributes of that with injury. It would be different for like a striker or winger. You'd probably lose a bit of pace, but I think centre back, it's all about that awareness and calmness.
Yeah, I'd like. People always go, this player reads the game so well, but Van Dijk does, and don't get me wrong, he does sometimes get himself into trouble, but I don't think there's a centre-back in the world right now who's even close to him, I'd say. Rod, what do you think?
I completely agree. Van Dijk is a Rolls-Royce defender. He's brilliant. He's fast, he can distribute the ball. He's very, very tall, so he's a presence in the air. And yeah, for me, he's the best centre-back in world football.
He just makes any other defender next to him, any sort of centre-back partner, makes him look good.
100%.
He made Joe Gomez look good.
Mate, he is the dog's bollocks. But Rod, I think we should move on to the last game. And fuck me, it's a brilliant game.
That does put us into top of the French league, Paris Saint-Germain versus top of the Spanish league, Real Madrid. A colossal fixture. Jack Charles, mate, how do you see it going?
It's one of those ones where I really dislike both teams in general, but I'm rooting for Real Madrid so hard in this one. I can't stand Paris Saint-Germain, man. Rhymes, God, Jesus Christ, put me on the mic. I just everything about him. I don't like Mbappe. I think he's a brilliant player, but just don't like him. Hate Neymar. Brilliant player. I love watching him, but don't like him. Just dislike him in general, to be honest. Right? You know what? I think they'll probably get through this one okay. I think they could beat Real Madrid maybe 4-2, 4-1 on aggregate, but I fucking hope they lose.
And Jack Field, mate, how about yourself?
I see PSG a very hit and miss team. Like I've seen them blow teams away, and I've seen them like have play games where the front three have just got their heads down and just don't track back or anything. I think Real Madrid, I think Zidane come back and done another job there, and he's got the best out of the players he's got. Like Benzema looks like he was one of the world class strikers, where a couple of seasons before he was, I don't know, I didn't really hear much of him. Now he looks like a completely different player.
Yeah, I love Benzema. I think he's unlucky. Well, he's not unlucky because he was brilliant, even so. But like to be part of the team with Cristiano Ronaldo when Ronaldo was prime, maybe the second best player in the world, sort of thing, and just overshadowed him. And but Benzema is elite, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think Zidane's drilled into that team. Like you got Vinicius Junior's playing unreal at the moment.
Yeah, out of his skin.
Well. I think Benzema's like really stepping up it even more. Like even though he probably was really overshadowed, I think Real Madrid will get past PSG.
Oof.
I think it'll be a close one, and I think it could be PSG win one leg and then Real Madrid win the other. But it all depends on what PSG shows up, in my opinion.
That's what I want to come in with. I completely agree with you, Jack Field. PSG for me are a very hit and miss team, and what Jack Charles said earlier about Neymar, luckily we won't be seeing any of Neymar's arrogance more than likely. Obviously, he's currently on the sidelines with an ankle injury.
It's his birthday or something.
Jack, man.
It happens every year. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. But I do feel like, I think for me, PSG are gonna win this tie on aggregate. I think Pochettino will overpower Carlo Ancelotti. For me, Pochettino has more tactics. So I'm going to go with, on aggregate, a PSG win of, I'm going to go 3-2, but they are going to be two very good games, and this is a tie I'm really looking forward to.
Sorry, Jack got me in the feels of that one because it looked like he snapped his ankle, but then again, Jack, you are right. His sister's calling him. I saw a video of him slapping his mum's ass as well. I thought that was a bit of a strange one. A bit of a strange guy, Neymar. But yeah, that
Brazilians are weird. Brazilians are weird, I think.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Jack. That is very.
No, you got Hulk as well. Didn't he marry his cousin or something?
No, he married his wife's niece.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that rounds up the Champions League. Should we move on just quickly to the Europa League knockout round playoff draw? The first game is Sevilla against Dynamo Zagreb, and I think this one's actually a bit of a cracker, Rod. What do you think?
Obviously, the Europa League is a league which is less superior to the Champions League, of course, but nevertheless, it does have some cracking playoff draw games. Sevilla, Zagreb, two teams I don't know too much about, but I do know Sevilla are doing fairly well this year in their domestic league. So I'm going to go for a score prediction on aggregate of 3-1.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well, Rod. This is Sevilla's tournament, isn't it? this is their Champions League. They love this. I think they've won it more than. Well, I don't know if it's more than any other side, but they fucking love it, especially in recent years. And Zagreb, Orsic is the man to look out for. He scored an absolute screamer the other day. And they have got some neat-ish players. It's just a bit weird, isn't it? Because they're a Croatian side, and obviously you don't really see the highest level of players, remaining in Croatia, who usually move on to one of the big teams. But I'm surprised Orsic hasn't actually moved on to one of the bigger teams. I think he's around 27 or 28 now, so maybe a bit too late for him, but he looks quality, man. I agree with the 3-1 to Sevilla there.
Jack Field, yourself?
Yeah, agreed. I think Sevilla love this tournament, don't they? They win it most years. They've just mastered the art of the Europa League, and I think Sevilla will go through quite easily. I think they deserve credit, the other team, though, because even though we probably don't hear a lot from them, being from Croatia, like they're always there and about, aren't they? Each year,
and either in Champions League or
Europa they're just
League.
Always about, yeah.
And I always seem to play Spurs. It feels like, I don't know if that's just because they play them this year, but
Spurs as well, yeah.
But yeah, Jack, I think you're right. They do deserve a bit of credit.
And that does move us on to a tie, which I feel like will only go one way. And I'm going to start with you, Jack Charles. How do you see the next one going? Atlanta versus Olympiacos.
Olympiacos all day, mate. I think I honestly think that I think they could do it. I think they'll be the underdogs, but I know from the past anyway, going away to Olympiacos is never easy. I know Arsenal struggled to do it. United have struggled to do it in the past. And I know I'm going more off the feels than I am off my head. Heart over the brain today, and I'm going to go Olympiacos to go through 3-2 on aggregate.
That's an interesting prediction, that is, and I want to see if Jack Field shares your opinion.
Of course he does.
I was thinking Olympiacos as well.
Let's go, Sam.
I was. I didn't really see much of Atalanta in their group games, but they gave United some good games.
I mean, they're alright. To be honest, right, it's hard to judge them because United have been so shit. It's not like if they were up against like Villa, even Villa are more consistent than United, and I could judge it more. But like United are so inconsistent. Well, for the majority of it, we had no tactics, no real. The coaches at United have been really poor, so it's hard to judge. But I'm in the fields with Olympiacos, man.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, same with Dinamo Zagreb. They're always about. They always seem to be in this competition, and I think that takes a bit of credit. Although I don't watch a lot of Greek football, but I just feel like I'm going to go the other way this time and say that they're going to go through on this one.
I love my Greek football. I watch every weekend.
I mean, these predictions weren't what I had in mind when I introduced the fixture, but for me, watching Atlanta, they're a very exciting team. They have some very exciting players in Muriel, Zapata, Miranchuk, and for me, I do think they're going to have too much for Olympiacos, and especially with the first home leg.
Yeah.
First leg home, I think, for me, over the course of both games, I do think Atlanta will win on aggregate 3-1.
That's the obvious answer. That's like the UFC when everyone goes, "Oh, who do you think's going to win, Amanda Nunes or Juliana Pena?" You never say Nunes because even though she's more likely to win, when the massive upset happens, you look like a genius, Rod. That's what it's all about. Always go with the heart over the head, Rod. Leipzig against Sociedad though in the next game, Rod. I think this is more like, okay, you probably have to go with Leipzig.
This is actually, this is quite an interesting draw, and Jack Field, you have a specialty in the Spanish league, so I'm going to come to you first. How do you see it going?
Do I? I never do that.
He loves his La Liga.
Well, I can see Leipzig being too good for Sociedad, I think. Yeah, I think Leipzig always play like good football. I know they're hated in Germany.
Well, yeah, they're basically like Man City.
They are. They're absolutely hated. I love a video on YouTube where they just interview loads of German fans
Yeah.
and just say what you think about Leipzig, and they absolutely go mental.
Well, I actually just hate Red Bull because, first of all, it's not even that bloody good, right? And second of all, that every team, Red Bull, they're not even Red Bull Leipzig. They're Rasen Sport or something like that because they couldn't use the name. But like Red Bull in racing, they're not even a car manufacturer. Don't get into the F1. It's going to piss me off, Jack.
Don't bring Max in. He deserved the win.
Oh no!
I'm joking.
But yeah, surely I just don't think Sociedad have got too much to offer. I think they've got some really solid players. Don't get me wrong. Orazabal, David Silva, Alexander Isaac? The Swedish guy up front, and Porto. Actually, I'm changing my mind. I'm going with Real Sociedad for the win in this one.
Yeah, Isaac was quite good in the Euros, wasn't he? Those players as well. Yazbal always seems to get goals, but I just like the way Leipzig play, and I think there'll be too much. So I think is it Nkunu? The French
he is on fire this season.
Like I think I signed him in my career mode ages ago, and he played for PSG.
Yeah, mate, back in the day, that is.
Still potential.
Man, that is back in the day. But Rod, what are you? I'm actually swayed now to Real Sociedad.
I was actually originally going to go with Real Sociedad, fifth in the La Liga. For me, I haven't really seen much of Leipzig this year for me to warrant backing them, but I'm more than happy to be proved wrong. But over the course of both games, I am going to go for not Leipzig. I am going to go for Sociedad, but it will be on away goals.
But then thinking about it again,
I'm going to go for
Leipzig pushed City and PSG really hard in the group, and they were really good.
And that's exactly what they were in the Europa League.
No, they were good. But, come on, Rod. They're in the group with two absolute giants.
They were never going to qualify, and I think that if one of those teams weren't in, they would definitely have qualified.
I'm back with Leipzig. Leipzig are going through.
I'm going with Leipzig 4-2.
Yeah, I agree. 4-2. I agree with the other Jack.
It's a great prediction, lads. But it's the whole point of the show to raise our opinions and debate. So I'm more than happy with your predictions.
Let's get to the Maradona derby.
And this, for me, is a fantastic game. And if you were to see it without knowing what competition it would be in, you'd say Champions League all day long. But here it is in the Europa League draw. Jack Charles, mate, going to come to you first.
I mean, what can you say? Messi was right. Barcelona are shy. I'm gonna have to. Honestly, I haven't watched too much of Barcelona. I was really disappointed in the one game I can vaguely remember of watching. I forgot who was in their group. They had Benfica. Yeah, I think it was against Was it? Who was the other team in their group?
They had Bayern, Benfica,
Dinamo Kiev.
That was it. I think it was Kiev at home, and I was just bored to death in that game. Or it might have been Benfica, but they were so boring. I mean, they got Luke de Jong up front, and I'm going to have to go with Napoli, Rod.
And I do quite like that because that is exactly who I was going to go for. For me, Barcelona this year have been poor. They're nowhere near what they were a few years ago. And
all right, Michael Owen.
I don't feel like they will have enough to beat Napoli. So over the course of both games, I am going to go for a Napoli win. I'm going to go for a 3-2 on aggregate, and that leads me into Jack Field. How do you see this one going?
I'm going to be very boring and agree with both of you. I think Napoli will go through. I feel like Barcelona have been awful. They've been woeful. I'd like the Xavi appointment, and it looks like he is trying to still get that Barcelona spirit and style of football back in, but he's heavily relying on young Spanish midfielders to sort of implement it. I think it's too early. It's going to take a bit of time for them to get back to where they were, and at the moment they're way off, and I just think Napoli are just too strong in every department.
Yeah. I agree.
I'd go 3-1 Napoli.
Yeah.
I like that, and I completely agree with you. Napoli, they're quite an exciting team, and their fans are absolutely mental. So that leads us into more fans who are mental, and I've witnessed it myself. Zenit St. Petersburg
Your
play
second
Real,
team.
and I'm gonna kick this one off. Zenit absolutely breezing so far in the Russian league, and obviously my home team. Betis, I don't know too much about them, but the quality of Russian football for me is nothing compared to Spanish. So
It's far
allegiances
superior.
aside, allegiances aside, I do feel like Real Betis will beat Zenit, and I believe they have Fekir.
They do have Fakir.
So I not purely on that basis, but I am going to go for a Betis win over the course of both legs. I'm going to go for a 2-1. Jack Field, yourself.
I am going to go for Betis as well. So I'll be honest, I haven't watched either of these teams play much at all, but I'm sort of going based off form. I think Betis are quite high up in La Liga. I've just looked at their form table. They've only lost 4 all season. They sit third, and they've only lost to teams higher than them. So like Real Madrid, Atletico, which like teams that they expect to lose to in a way. So I can see them. I don't want to say breeze past because I think Zenit would give them a good go. But I think Betis again would be a bit too strong for him. Sorry, Rod.
It's, yeah.
I don't think Betis will be able to handle the Russian weather in February. It's going to be very cold, and obviously I've been to Spain once, Rod, and I know it's very hot. So with my Michael Owen head on, I'm going to go Zenit, make it tough for him, and Zenit just creep through, maybe nick a goal at Betis and keep a clean sheet at home.
So I like that opinion, and if that is to be the case,
Based on the weather.
Based on the weather.
Zuba scores a couple of goals, I'm a happy man, and this leads us into a very heated game and two sets of fans who are one of the most passionate in the world. Dortmund against Rangers. We'll start with you, Jack Shares.
Oh, it's going to be one-sided, man, and Rangers are just going to batter them, aren't they? No, I think Dortmund are going to... I think they're going to hammer Rangers. I know Rangers are definitely a better team lately than of old, I'd say. I remember a few games back in the day when they were in, like, you know, when Celtic used to get into the Champions League and Rangers being Europa League, stuff like that. I can remember back in the day when I was a kid. Well, I say a kid, I was probably 18. I was probably like 12, 13, something like that. I can't really remember, but it's nice to see Rangers in this sort of position. But I just think you're coming up against one of the actual... They should be in the Champions League. It's poor from Dortmund, but it is what it is. And I mean, with Haaland up front, the young guys they got in there, they always just have such good young talent. Dortmund. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think Dortmund batter them 5-0 on aggregate.
I think you're not wrong there, and I'm going to go with an opinion of Dortmund are going to breeze this. They've got some very, very good players, and I think they are going to be way too much for Rangers, who they're going through a bad spell of form. Obviously, losing Gerrard, who was a big part of their success. And for me, Dortmund should be in the Champions League. They're a team of that caliber. So over the course of both legs, I'm going to go for a 4-1 on aggregate. Jack Field?
Well, this was a fixture I liked the look of on paper, but then as I looked into it a bit more, it's like Rangers just like lost their manager. Like, I think they're still top of the Scottish Premier League, but I think most of it has been with Gerrard. And I had a soft spot for Rangers when Gerrard was there, and I've got a soft spot for Villa. But Dortmund should be in the Champions League. Like they were pretty poor in the group stages, but I can't see them being poor again here against Rangers. I don't think they're as good as a team as they appear sometimes, but I just still think they'll be better than Rangers in both legs. I think it'll be a feisty one though.
I could see a red card in this, a couple maybe.
Yeah.
This brings me on to my favourite game of the Europa League, actually, Rod.
This biggest game of the Europa League, and Sheriff versus Braga.
Yeah, I actually called it in the. Well, I called it wrong, but I thought Sheriff might actually get through the group stage in the prediction video I did with Danny at the start of the season. I was obviously joking, but it almost came true, Rod, and I was good for him. I thought it was really entertaining having them in the Champions League. The game against Real Madrid, oh my days. What a famous win for them, and I hope they can actually go far in this competition. I think I'll be rooting for the the British teams to have a good run, and I want Rangers to have a good run, but I don't think they will. But Sheriff might be my my team in this, Rod. I might back them all the way to the final. And I saw this video on YouTube of this guy I watched on YouTube. I forgot his name, sorry, but he actually he snuck into the stadium and then he bought a ticket and stuff like that. But it's such a weird place. It's like Sheriff is a company, and they are basically in this like small place, and they just run everything from like stalls to anything, and that they got the team, and just such a crazy story. But I want Sheriff to go through, and I think they will. Sheriff 2-0 on aggregate.
If I can touch on that as well, so they're basically a multinational corporation in the small city of Transnistria in Moldova.
Yeah, man.
And they have a monopoly of everything. So they are, like you said, they run all supermarkets, and their colours for a supermarket do differ compared to their kit colours, which I found a bit weird. But yeah, this is a story of it's quite a weird story in terms of the background of the team. But I think they're founded not long ago as well, of course, which makes sense. But I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to go with a Sheriff aggregate win of 2-1.
Yeah, man, I think it's just a great story, in all honesty. Jack, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I haven't seen much of Braga play, but I'll be honest, I watched both games where they beat Real Madrid. Did they beat Milan as well, didn't they?
I think they may have drew against Milan.
They drew it. Oh, well, when I watched them, they were some of the most exciting games of football I've seen in a while. Like, I just love like a little underdog story and like going against big teams. And now I kind of want them to. Well, the games I saw, the way they played, I think that Europa League could be their level, and I kind of want them to go far because I think that would be a good story. So, I'd probably be rooting for Sheriff in the Europa League to win it. So I'm going to say they're going to go through 3-2.
Yeah, I love that, Fieldzy.
Everyone loves an underdog, and that does take us on to our final fixture of Porto Lazio, which on paper, similar to a few other fixtures, is for me it's quite an intriguing one. Jack, Charles, mate, yourself, how do you see this one going?
I think it's going to be a feisty fixture, Rod. I think there will be a red card for both teams in this game. Both teams to score. I'm just putting a knacker on here. I think Porto will go through. I just think certain players in their team are going to be crucial. I think Pepe, if he can keep his head in this one as a leader, could really help them against Lazio. Lazio do have some great players. They got Immobile. He's immobile. I forgot how to fucking say it. Chiro Immobile.
Chiro Immobile.
Yeah, and man. I think Lazio have got what it takes to beat Porto, but I think Porto have just got too much heart.
And I do agree with you. Like, I'm really looking forward to this tie, to be completely honest with you. And Lazio, I watched them a few times in the Champions League against Zenit. I think it must have been last year.
Yeah. And
they were very strong. Immobile, big player for them. And they've got some superstars in their side, but I do see Porto out-strengthen them over the course of 2 years.
Name 3 superstars in the Lazio side.
Okay. Chiro, Milinkovic, Savic.
Ex-Chelsea player, Rod. I'll give you a clue.
Is he a superstar?
Ex-Chelsea player. Well, no, not quite superstar, but a name.
Oh, Michael Ballack. That's it.
Pedro.
Oh, come on, that is reaching. But anyway, sorry, Rod. I just thought it'd be funny.
Unfortunately, I can name two superstars in that side, but I am going to go for a Porto win of 2-1 on aggregate.
Mate.
They've got that guy with the really long name, haven't they?
Milinkovic-Savic.
Sure,
Yeah. That's the one.
Superstar. Yeah,
I think this would be a close and quite feisty game. On paper, they look quite even, but I think Porto, when Liverpool played Porto, I thought they looked quite all right, like a decent team. I think their keeper had two absolute shockers of games, which just helped Liverpool win. I think it looked like he was match fixing or something.
the Argentinian guy.
Yeah, he was running everywhere, missing balls. It was awful. But I can see Porto going through.
Yeah.
Not easy though.
Yeah.
And I think it would be like really close, maybe away goals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. We haven't even done that in any of our predictions. We haven't gone level away goals. Man, that's nuts.
I didn't actually give an away goal prediction, but
I honestly just I just wanted to say though, United have been in the Europa League in quite like recent years, but I've never seen a Europa League draw look like this, and it's actually do they do the Europa League goal show like they did the Champions League one? Because I'd be watching that.
you'd imagine so. And I think
it's on like a weird. I think it's like Channel 5. I think.
Oh man, that's grim.
But yeah,
the championship as well.
Yeah, that sounds grim. Rod, do you remember watching Channel 5 back in the day, watching Villa in the Championship?
Oh, I still do, mate, in teletext.
Anyway, man, I feel like that's been absolutely ages long video. But that's not even English. That was a really long video, but first time having Jack on the channel. First of all, Jack, I want to thank you for coming on, and second of all, I just want to say, what a pleasure it was to have you on. I thought we had some real good conversations, some good laughs, and I just had a real good time, even though it was a super long video. How do you feel, Rod?
I'm very happy with how it went. Obviously, it's always nice to look at the European fixtures and just completely break it down, say our predictions, give a bit of an analysis.
I think we broke it down better than Michael Owen.
I think it's far more interesting listening to us compared to the likes of Souness and Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes might be munching on his daughter's toes as we speak, but that's for a different day.
Mate.
But yeah, that rounds up our European analysis, and we will be back on Friday with a bit more Premier League.
Hopefully Jack might be able to join us. We don't know, but maybe.
Potentially.
We'll
Busy schedule. I'd just like to say thank you for having me on. A good laugh.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. If you haven't made it this far, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if there's anything you want to see, and until next time, bye.
Yeah.